Bennett Davison here with another EuroHooplife recording. We're here with Will Perry. We're going to be talking about academic Bultex in Bulgaria. Is that correct, Will?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I just want to kind of dig into three topics. How was the situation unfolded and you came into this job opportunity? Second, what the city was like. And then third, talking about the most important, the financial. As a European basketball players, we're traveling basketball salesmen and our skills are product or service or good. And you've got to go over there. So I want to hear the good and the bad about this team in Bulgaria. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, let's dig into it. How did you end up getting? And this is last season. What year is this that you played for this team?
This will be my fourth season. Yeah.
Fourth season. Okay. So this is what 2009. End of 2000. The season ended in 2019.
Yeah. So it was this past season. I played there. I was in Bulgaria playing with them until Christmas. My last game, I think, was like the 23rd of December. So I was there, half the year, 2019.
Perfect. Well, go into the situation. Did you have an agent find you the job? Was it mostly how you played in Portugal that got you this opportunity? What was the whole kind of build up to getting onto this team?
Yeah. So, for sure it was like my two pretty good seasons in Portugal. They kind of put me on the map as far as Europe. And, these European teams all know each other. They're intertwined somehow. So, I have an agent, and it was actually like a middleman out in Eastern Europe that I guess connected my agent with the club in Bulgaria, and that's how I got the job. They offered me a contract in late July. It looked good, and it was kind of a different area than I'd been playing in Spain and Portugal, so I decided to go for it, and yeah.
So it turned out okay. And so when you got there, you'd obviously been in Portugal, which is a beautiful little beach town, and you said it was a small, close niche. What was the city? You were located in Bulgaria?
Yeah, Bulgaria. I was in Plovdiv. It's called Plovdiv. It's actually the second biggest city in Bulgaria. So it was a nice city. It was a lot different than Spain and Portugal. That's for sure.
You said I learned food and the people and just the.
Yeah, I learned quickly like the difference between Eastern and Western Europe. You know what I mean? But it was an interesting city. I had an apartment by myself, kind of in the middle of the city. Like there's a lot of like foot traffic and stuff, which was kind of interesting. But Bulgaria was for sure a different situation.
And what was the city like? Was it kind of like Eastern European and gray? And was it obviously a lot colder? It was probably hit the negatives in the wintertime. You'd have to wear winter gear all year round.
Yeah, it got cold for sure. I think it snowed twice. It got cold for sure. It was definitely just more of a grayer kind of gloomy vibe than that was Portugal and Spain that I was used to. Yep. But it was a pretty slow moving city. Bulgaria is a poor country, man. There's just not a lot of economic prosperity there. So that shines pretty hard through the people and the places,
and the whole season and the mentalities. And so that's why I think basketball sometimes is so passionate over there, because that's one of the things that get people energized and riled up. So once you got there and you had the facilities, you said you finally got your own apartment. Took you 4 seasons to finally get your own apartment. You knew what to ask for. What ended up going on with the team? What was the facilities like? What were the team like, the players, all that, those details, basketball-oriented details?
Yeah, so we had a good team. I thought we had a good team. We played pretty much 500 while I was there. We'd win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I thought we were better than how we were playing. We had a couple American guys. We had a Serbian guy, a guy from Montenegro. So we had some foreign players as well as the Bulgarian players too. Coach and me didn't connect so well. The coach didn't speak English. That was a huge problem for us. I'm a point guard. And, not being able to talk directly to the coach was hard, man. Like, I would never experienced that. So that was interesting. We had like an assistant coach that would like translate everything in practice, everything in the games, Coach would say something, give us a long speech, and then the assistant coach would try his best to translate it. But it's probably hard. So I feel like half the time I was playing, like not knowing what he wanted, not knowing, we weren't really connected. So that was different. I ended up the team wanted to get rid of me. November, I think it was. They came to me, and it wasn't just me. It was actually like, I think it was 3 guys they came up to and wanted to get rid of us because we weren't winning as much as they thought we should. So that's an interesting story, I guess, if you want me to get into it.
Yeah, go into those details. Those are the things. I mean, we want to hear about the good stuff. We also want to hear about the bad stuff, and just really leaving breadcrumbs for players on saying, hey, this is a good situation to get into. So, yeah, go dig into those details.
Yeah, I mean, so basically the team, have a lot in Eastern Europe. They think you don't fit and they want to get rid of you. So they pulled me into a room after practice one day and was just like, hey, Will, thank you for everything. We really like you as a person. Everything is good with you, but we want to move a different direction. So if you have another offer from another team, you can take it. And that's all they said. So they didn't say hey, Will, you're fired. We'll talk to your agent, get the contract stuff set up. They just said, hey, if you have another offer, take it. You're released. So what that basically means in Euro basketball terms is please leave on your own terms. Please get your own flight and leave the next day. That's what they're wanting.
Yeah.
Well, then they don't have to pay you because in my contract it says, hey, if you fire me, it's fine, but you got to pay my contract, and then you got to pay my flight. So they were trying to kind of nudge me into taking off under my own will, which I didn't. I did not do that. So I was like, I'm not leaving. I don't know what you expect, but I'm staying unless you're fired. And they said, no, we're not firing you. I said, okay, I'm staying. So a couple weeks go by at practice. I'm doing nothing at practice, man. I mean, I'm warming up with the team, and then the coach is just not using me in practice in 5-on-5 or anything. So I'm like, all right. So I'm just sitting there at practice, on the bench.
Yep.
And then in the games, I'm playing 2 minutes. I mean, I'll go in. I think he just wanted to put me in just to bring my stats down, so I didn't get a DNP, did not play.
Yep.
That's my fear. So I'd go in for 2 minutes, I'd come right back out. I mean, it was pretty miserable for me for a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I was actually looking for another team, obviously, because, eventually. And I ended up finding another team, and me and the club came to an agreement. It wasn't financially good for me, to be honest, but after a month or two, I just had to get out. It was just not a good situation. But that was a rough couple months for me, man, thinking back at it. Just kind of getting toyed with and, just
It's an emotionally depressing. Now, did you file anything of an arbitration? Did you research any of it? What were some of the repercussions that you kind of ran through your head and with your agent?
So yeah, I did look up an arbitration. I did look up some stuff on that. The problem with it is what my agent was telling me was if the guys aren't saying, hey, we want you fired, you need to leave, and then we can't file an arbitration because the contract says, hey, if you get fired, this, and this can happen. You get paid this happens, this happens. But they weren't really firing me. They were just saying, hey, we're not going to use you anymore, And then they didn't use me. They screwed me. They didn't practice me. They played me 2 minutes a game. So we were in kind of a pickle. We didn't know really what to do. I actually was pretty pushy with my agent to do something. But, a month and a half or so went by, and we just decided to come to a small agreement, which looking back at it, I wish I would have did more, to be honest. But we just didn't have much leverage because it's just how it is out there, man, for Americans. It sucks, but it's just the truth.
No. So, yeah, and that's kind of the situation of why I want to be able to give this information to other basketball players who have dealt with teams that just kind of play the game. I was in F.I.B.A, Italy, and they actually let me go for 10 days, sat me in a hotel, brought me back, got a new coach in there, and we went from 14th place to 2nd place into the playoffs. And then we basically, at the end of it, we got to the final round, and we actually did a jump ball, asked the other team to not pressure us, and we basically huddled around the ball, and we did two 24-second violations. I think it's 35-second violations because they hadn't paid any of the players in 4 months. So we went from 14th to 2nd place, and they still hadn't paid us, but yet they're wanting us to play, and we're sitting out of practices, and it just fell apart. And we basically lost by 60 points, I think, that game. We didn't even try. We're shooting from half court. So it's one of those things where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is where I want to give this information to future basketball players.
Yeah, that's a great story, man, and I couldn't agree more. Like, it's just you want to do something because that's just what you're used to and what you know you can and think you should do. But there's just you just look around, you're like, man, you got no leverage. It's just a crappy situation, man. I hope that things can get better for sure.
Well, how would you finish off with this interview recommending playing for that team? Obviously, it sounds like you had a bit of a miserable bout there. Would you recommend anybody else going there if there was a different situation going on?
Yeah, so I only want to talk from my own experience. I mean, I don't want to speak for other guys going there and whatnot. But I would say definitely like do your research. That was a crappy situation for me for sure. Like it was not good. And if like say next year if somebody wanted me to go back there, I wouldn't go, of course. But I would say don't count any teams and clubs out because clubs change and management changes and stuff. But if a team has a track record of doing players kind of in a bad way, man, I would steer clear. Just for that reason.
Okay. Well, take this team. If any future players have any ideas of signing a contract with this team, reach out to Will. Go to Eurobasket. Look for the other Americans who have also played for that individual team. What's the team name again?
I played for Academic Bultex.
Okay, and reach out to them and just start a conversation. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they have any more detailed questions?
Yeah, I think the best way is social media, man. Just Instagram is Will Perry 0. I'm on Facebook, Will Perry. So I think that's a good way to reach out.
Awesome. Well, Will, thank you for your interview. So sad that the situation didn't pan out, but hey, some years are amazing. Some years are just kind of a letdown, and you never know what you're going to get. That's the whole thing about playing international FIBA basketball.
That's the truth.
Outstanding. Well, have a great day, Will. Thanks.
See you.